what was your perception of leadership versus the reality?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So I think my journey into being the kind of leader of my company now has been probably quite an organic one that I think a lot of people in my position end up following, which is coming from a background of being in big teams and certainly seeing the leadership side of things, to suddenly having to be that person, and very much learning it on the job as I go. And I think a lot of what I saw originally and what I perceived to be what was needed was the things which are very much needed, but things like directing projects. It was making sure that we had some good technical direction in what we're doing as a software agency. Our kind of technical approach is really core to the service we deliver. And in the past, in terms of the leaders I've worked with, that's all I kind of saw, and I thought that's probably all I had to follow. And I think the things that have come as a bit of a surprise, and they seem obvious now, but have taken me a while to get used to, are things like motivating the team. Is one of the foundation stones of what we do at to keep the team happy, and especially as a fully remote team as well. It's been really important to get that right. Our values as well is another thing that I think, from working in large organizations, I've probably not seen as hugely important. I've never kind of got the importance of them, but especially as working with within a small team, I think they've been really essential to make sure that we're all pulling in the same direction, and when we're not face to face with each other, that we get what we're trying to do. And of course, vision fits into that as well, right? It's another one of those buzzwords, but it's been hugely important for me to really sit with and work out what's in my head in terms of where we're going, how can I clearly articulate that to everyone so that we all know what we're doing. And I think in terms of leadership, that's been huge, just in terms of helping everyone to I hope to feel motivated every day in what they're doing, and they get their piece in the wider picture of what we're all pulling together for. And so yeah, I think those have been some of the probably less tangible things, but hugely important, just to making sure that everything runs smoothly to get right. And then of course there's the client side. So we're a client-facing company. We work with our clients day in, day out, and it's suddenly gone from me interacting with clients solely by myself and delivering a lot of the work to them myself, to having clients who I've got the very fortunate position of having my team in front of, and I think it's also been setting expectations with them around the change and the shift that we're going through, and to help me build my team alongside them as well.
Knowing what you know now, how could you have better prepared for a leadership role?
It's a good question. My initial thought on this was I've kind of had to go through the process of, which isn't a great answer to that question, because I think that's like digging deeper, that there are a lot of things I could have done to accelerate some of that. I mean, the obvious one, at least from my point looking back now, was working with people who have been in that situation before, and understanding their journeys and getting some insight into that. And I think I've had to have gone through it myself, I've kind of gone probably the hard way and the long way round, whereas I could have got a lot of that just by speaking much more closely with people. And I've been very fortunate since I started the company to have worked with lots of fantastic people who have given their time and their advice. And this year really started working closely with a business coach, which has been phenomenal in terms of kind of the impact it's had in that time alone, and the kind of mindset shift that it's brought about. We've grown from 2 this time last year to 7 of us now. It's been a kind of massive, rapid increase in headcount, and of course I've had to hugely change my approach to my day-to-day as well to deal with that. And I think the other part of it, in terms of what I could have done to prepare better, was probably building in systems to run like a bit of a bigger company than we were and are still at the moment. It's those things that felt like, it's things like proper one-to-ones, proper feedback mechanisms, making sure that we can set expectations with clients so that they can give feedback that I can trust the team to deliver in, and I will get feedback from people when things aren't working and when they are as well. And I think it was that resistance to work totally like a big company, but I think there are lots of things in there that actually you can do early on, there are good reason why proper one-to-ones are in place and all of those things in companies. And so I think those are the two main things for me. Really, it's about setting up the systems to have success, and help you grow as a leader, but also just learning from others as well, speaking to others and learning those stories.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That and it probably makes sense, to be completely honest, but it's really interesting that still now, as a leader and the CEO of a company, you're still going through your own learning and development process of speaking with business coaches, still adopting that approach to try and gain feedback. It's just interesting to hear that process kind of never stops, does it? There's always something that you can improve upon. I think one of the so this is focused around like the more journey into leadership. A previous Evo Inspires we've done is a little bit more focused around like what journeys have looked like. Feedback is so consistently that common theme of how important it is. So it's just interesting to see that you're kind of still going through that now.
Yeah, I mean, totally. And I think the thing that keeps me grounded is a large dose of imposter syndrome, as is kind of half of the course of this job. But it is that, you know, I'm very aware that there's more I can be doing every day, and I think it is balancing that as well, because I think there is an element of leadership of being vulnerable and you know, helping. And I think that's been a large part of this past year. Is really the reason I think we've been able to grow the team and keep people around, is because I've been very open and transparent from the start with them about the fact that I'm on a journey as well and continue to be. But also aware that, you know, there is a balance of kind of confidence there as well that I think that is important to inspire in a team. But yeah, I think you can do that by being open as well. But yeah, of course, you know, I'm learning every day, and the more feedback I can get from everyone about what's not working, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that openness and vulnerability would inspire trust, wouldn't it? Because you're having a really open and honest conversation around, look, this is how I can help you. I'm also doing this to help myself, which helps you again. So it's like a cycle of just building a trusted network, isn't it?
Exactly. For sure.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Scott. And the final question I wanted to ask is, what's been your biggest leadership challenge and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, it's not a specific one, I'm afraid, but I mean the scale problem we've had this past year, and so we've gone, like I say, from 2 to 7, and 7, you know, isn't a big organisation by any means, but
it's a lot bigger than 2.
A massive change. Exactly. And you know, my ability to deal with that and lead the remote team, people that I've not met, you know, over half our team face to face because of the locations. And so that's been the real challenge. Has been how do we keep people around? How do we keep them happy? How do we get them onboarded quickly and into a situation where they can hit the ground running? And I think we've already spoken about it, but that kind of open, honest kind of framework has been at the core of what we've done. Even when we were in very early interviews with taking on new team members, you know, I was very keen to make sure that they knew that we're in a transition period, and I'm very much learning the job as I go as well. And to kind of bear with me to some degree, but it'll be a journey that we can all contribute to and kind of build something really together. And I think that open culture has been something we've tried to instill throughout the company since the very start, is that everyone that's worked with us has got access to pretty much everything in the company. For me, that works really well. Just in terms of my own workload, I feel like when I can help share things with people, it ends up with the ability to delegate much easier. People actively taking things from me, and I think getting me out of the way has been some of the challenges as well. I've been keen. Again, I've kind of started the company with doing everything possible and every job under that umbrella, and yeah, I've been really keen to get the team to a position where they can help me to be a better leader for them as well. Yeah, and so that's been a big part of it.
How have you found that letting go of little bits of work and giving responsibility? Because I know that's quite a big challenge as starting your own company. It's essentially like your baby, the company, isn't it? To then relinquish a little bit of responsibility to others. How have you found that?
It is. It's been difficult. And like I said, that's not for a lack of very good colleagues that I'm you know, delighted to work with every day. But I think it's just been a mindset thing from me. And yeah, it's been difficult. The biggest thing for me has always been our clients, and I've always been very keen to build a company where we deliver great service to our clients and we keep people around for the long term for that. And of course, you introduced new people, and my worry was that we weren't going to be able to maintain that same level of service to whatever degree. And I think the values that we've put in place have helped that. I think also just being very transparent and keeping it will be interesting to see how we grow and how well that scales. But at the moment, we're small enough that I can include lots of people in different things, and not only show them how I would do things, but also get real good feedback about how they would approach things as well, and grow that way. So I think, like anything as well, it's getting to a bit of a tipping point with the number that we have and the projects we're having to take on to fulfill people, that actually there's just not enough time for me to be involved in everything. So even if I wanted to, I'm having to kind of relinquish control. And I think the more you do that, the more trust you gain anyway. So surely that's getting the